I'm going to say the names of the people up here and where they're from because it doesn't say what companies they're from, but I'm not going to read their titles. You can see them up there. Manny Jarman from Regal. Oisin Glenn from Poly AI. Michael Quillen from Capacity. And Danielle from NICE. That completes what I'm supposed to do here. Now I'm going to enjoy Andrew speaking.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Well, cool. It's been a good morning. Interesting morning. We had seen Matthew up there talking about some challenging us around questions. You and I were just talking about that and the power of asking the right questions. That goes right to the core of what AI is supposed to be all about. Am I right? So let's start this off really quick. We're talking about this idea of the new CX. When I use that term, the new customer experience, what comes to mind for you guys? How would you define that for us here in the room? What is the new CX for you, Daniel?
Very simply, I'll just say it's beyond the contact center. So
Yeah.
just focusing purely on the experience and the interaction of the consumer and the agent within the organization.
Yeah, got it. What'd you
Yeah.
add?
I'd say looking at AI a little bit differently, right? I think we've all looked at AI a certain way. AI means everything to everyone, but starting to look specifically in our space as AI like a teammate versus a tool. And how can we interact with that AI like a part of the team, a member that we're working alongside of?
Got it. Ocean?
I think probably immediacy. I think a lot of times before CX was impacted heavily by the fact that you had to wait for things or wait to get to people or wait to find answers. I think there's an element of the new CX should be immediate, right?
Yeah.
I want some information, I need a transaction.
Yep.
I shouldn't have to wait.
That's clearly the consumer expectation right now, right? Yeah, consumers have definitely evolved to that point where, right now, I want my answer right now. What would you add?
Yeah, I think for us, it's about automation, self-service. How do clients get more bang for their buck, right? You all are being tasked to do a lot more with a lot less. And I think what's unique nowadays is that there is more technology at your fingertips than you've ever had, right? Whether you're a client, whether you're a trusted advisor. The very, very cool thing for you all is you've got technology that you haven't had before the last 6-7 years. Now you've got so much technology at your fingertips. Obviously, great companies to be able to choose from. But really, for us, it's really about automation, self-service, and how you're going to drive efficiencies, productivity, and just doing more with less.
Yeah. There was a study that came out in August by MIT, said that 95% of AI proofs of concept are failing. Are never getting to like ROI, right? People see that study or read about it, heard about it. A lot of people are talking about it. As you peel back the onion on that, there's actually a lot more data underneath that's probably a little bit more relevant. I'm curious, why do you think that so many CX projects haven't reached kind of full maturity and generated the kind of outcomes and results that a lot of companies are going for? Ocean, what do you think?
I think, look, I'm known for a lot of cheesy sayings, and I think the key thing you got to be here, and I'm going to steal it from our folks up in Minneapolis. Like it's 3 M's. It's got to be meaningful, measurable, and it's got to be manageable. I think what you see is people are either trying to do too much, they're trying to do something where they can't measure an outcome, or where they just don't know. Like, okay, it worked. Does that actually mean anything? Did it move a needle? So I think if you think about those 3 M's as you go into this. I think you would have a much better result than that 95%. I think there's a lot of tinkering in there. I think there's a lot of little science projects, but I think the 3 M's really help me think about, should we be doing this? Because sometimes the answer is, we shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. Meaningful, measurable, and manageable.
Yeah.
Those three. I love it. What do you think? I mean, at Capacity, you guys do some really interesting things around automation. Been doing this for a long time now, and kind of automating the support experience as much as possible, both internal and external. You have a lot of customers that are having a lot of success right now on your platform and have deployed this. Why do you think others are failing at such a high, alarming rate, frankly?
Well, again, I think there's just so much technology out there that the consumer, the clients at hand, they just don't know which route to go, which way to go. And I think that is one of the biggest challenges. I'd love to see what you're starting to see a lot more of with clients these days is organizations out here. Who has, if you could raise your hands, who has a chief AI officer at their organization now? Yeah, there's one. And we're starting to see a lot more of that, right? So they can drive adoption, they can drive awareness, and I think that as organizations, larger organizations, and even smaller organizations can identify, with individuals which technology, which route they want to go to, and it's all based off of the customer journey.
Yeah.
Right. What are your goals 3, 5, 7 years from now, and how do you get there? And how do you drive adoption? But again, there's so much technology out there to identify and to understand what technology is going to be the best for our organization. Going back to failure of POCs.
Yeah.
It is just, again, so much out there and trying to identify what's the best for your organization.
I think the whole question around AI agents. Let's talk about that for a second, because the evolution of how we're using AI to interface with customers has changed radically, right? I mean, NICE just made a really big bet on this in the acquisition of Cognigy, one of the leaders in that space. All of you guys have really compelling offers around AI agents. As consumers, we all know that when a brand traditionally has tried to automate our experience, way more often than not, it results in us just getting pissed off, right? We get frustrated. It doesn't solve our problem. It feels more like a brand saying, I really don't want to talk to you at all. So just, live here in this world and see if you can figure it out. And it results in a really, really bad customer experience. AI is certainly has made some massive strides in that category, right? You guys again made a big bet on this, Daniel. Why was the acquisition of Cognigy so strategic for NICE?
I think it was really strategic, and I'll say this, I'll use this term. How many people have heard of agentic AI before? Yeah. I mean, the ability to be able to reason, to be able to act, to be able to respond, to be able to provide empathy. I think this is why many consumers and many brands have that level of frustration, especially as they're trying to integrate multiple different types of tech stacks. There's so many different technologies out there, but with the acquisition of Cognigy and being strategic, we really wanted to ensure that with our consumers and our brands, and of course such as yourselves, that we really wanted to ensure that it was a human-like experience. And I think that really is the bottom line.
Yeah, a human-like experience. Agentic certainly has that promise. The other thing that I'm excited about with agentic is its ability to handle really complex interactions. I mean, multiple turns, lots of questions being asked, doing things. I just saw a demo with Polly of a lady, 78-year-old woman calling in. Maybe you've seen this one. Asking for supplies for her CPAP machine, recognized immediately at the beginning of the call that she was talking to a bot. Said, "Are you a computer?" And yes, I'm an AI bot or whatever. And she, well, I want to talk to a human. And then the bot continued the conversation, and within like 7 minutes later, had 8 different SKUs of items being delivered, even to the lady saying, I don't get deliveries at my house successfully, so I need you to ship this to my neighbor. And the bot figured that out. How complex are the use cases becoming that AI is addressing with AI agents?
I mean, I think this is a really great example. So these folks were doing this previously with their core contact center platform, and they were 42% successful. The first week we went live with the agentic flow, so same APIs, same callers, same bat time, same bat channel. We were at about 80% success for that workflow. And I think a huge part of it was the conversation no longer had to be rigid. Like, I think historically, right, you went from menu A to menu B to menu C. When you're in B, you could go back to A or forward to C. And I think in what you heard with that lady who was traversing that is she had options. She was able to navigate around, and the reasoning and the logic was there to help bring her along in that conversation, and at times maybe even get her back on track. But I think people want to be able to choose their own adventure, and I think that's a really important part of it, to be able to get those things done. So I think at this point, I would say imagination might be one of the limiting factors to what's possible. I think there are certain things where, very, very challenging negotiation, I think is still not perfect here yet. But I think there's a lot of things like these multi-step flows that are becoming really, really powerful. And the other thing I'll say is success breeds success. I think people say, well, can you handle a multi-intent conversation? I think when you call in and, hey, I need to reset my password. Okay, so we got your password reset. That's kind of easy, right? That's low-hanging fruit. A short person can do that. Okay, but well, now that I got you, like they were expecting to reset the password to take a bunch of time because they thought they'd have to wait 10 minutes to get to a human.
Right.
If I do one thing quickly and well, I got a minute for
Starts to reset the expectation.
So now
what
you're
else can
gonna
be done?
let me do a second thing. Let me do a
Yeah.
third thing. So I think you're starting to see now, not like, did I resolve this one thing? You might resolve 3 things in that conversation, and some of them might even be things that weren't in that person's mind to begin
Yeah.
with. They wanted to reset their password to go do something else, because nobody just wants to reset the password for the sake of it. Those second and tertiary things that come after that, I
Interesting.
think they're being empowered, and you're seeing these like multi-intent journeys really come to fruition.
Very cool. Manny, Regal's been at this for a long time as well, and what you guys were able to do 3 years ago is nowhere near what you guys can do today. The innovation, the pace of all this change has been really remarkable. So I've never seen it that fast. Talk about the complexity that you guys can now manage in your environment.
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. So Regal came to be 6 years ago because our co-founders ran the call center for Angie's List. So their biggest issue was exactly what you just walked through of, we're calling people all day to set up a service and they're just frustrated. Like, we're not getting the answer rates, we're not getting the connection rates. So they built Regal to say, choose your own adventure. Like our CEO likes to say goosebumps, right? Choose your own adventure and say, hey, it doesn't make sense to just call, just plug lead lists into a dialer. We really want to be able to talk to the right person at the right time, through the right channel, with the right message. And all of that needs to be automated. It needs to be quick. It needs to be immediate. And I don't want to have people just sitting there saying, all right, I got to send that SMS to remind someone I'm going to call them in 5 minutes. And then like, hopefully they pick up a number they don't know. Maybe I'll go local presence and they'll pick it up. Now we can intuitively on the back end say, I want to use an AI agent who can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in that off hour at 3 a.m. when I'm like having a brilliant idea and need a small business loan. So I want to pick up the phone and apply for that.
Yeah.
Oh, nobody's available, so now I have to leave a voicemail. Now it's that imagination of, I can make that call, the AI agent picks it up, they're going to talk me through what that process looks like, actually pre-qualify me, get my meeting scheduled with my licensed agent or that banker tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Now that loan is in and my business has started the next weekend. It's no longer like, I got to wait for people or I'm frustrated because the AI doesn't understand me.
Yep.
It's very much, let's have a conversation and get it accomplished.
Yeah. Mike?
Yeah, I've got a pretty good example of that. So flying out here, I'm in Southern California, and on my way out here, my flight got canceled.
Shocker.
I'm sorry, not canceled. I apologize. The flight, we were on the tarmac, and the flight got delayed, and I was going to miss my connection flight and whatnot. And now I've got an oh shit moment, right? Getting from Southern California to Grand Rapids is not necessarily the easiest path. So what do? Go on the airline's website, and next thing you know, I start chatting with them, and then it takes me to a voice agent, right?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they were able to, while I was on the tarmac and they're pulling us back into the gate, I was able to get rerouted through Detroit, make it to Grand Rapids in a timely manner, and I think I was delayed maybe 2 hours versus what eventually was probably going to be a 4 to 6 or even a canceled flight.
Yeah.
So just the amount of technology, like I said, that's out there and what we're able to do with it these days is just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to your point about help desk and deflection rates and how do you reduce average handle times with real-time agent assist and stuff of that nature, right? At the end of the day, what's the most expensive piece to a contact center? And it is the labor.
Yeah.
So obviously, all of our companies out there, as well as others, have the ability to automate that, right? And you can do a lot more with less. You can get support 24 hours a day versus having to, employ individuals that are, you're going to have mistakes, right, with human interaction. But again, just a lot of the stuff that we're seeing out there in the industry and where customers are going. So
Yeah. It's a fascinating time, guys. Let's go back to this MIT study for just a moment. I'll peel back a couple things on this. There's one of the main reasons, their thesis around why so many POCs are failing is poor data quality. That's the first one. And read into that, it's data hygiene, data readiness. It's also data sitting in a whole bunch of disparate systems. So it brings up a question of integrations and how do I pull information from all these different places and start to orchestrate all that together. You guys, all 4 of you, have invested a crazy amount in solving for that problem. And I bring it up because the second biggest thing in this study that I think is really telling. While 95% of POCs are failing, 67% of POCs that are being done with vendors like you are actually succeeding. It means that the overwhelming majority of these proofs of concept that are failing are companies that are trying to build this on their own. How hard is it to do what you guys do around orchestrating all this data together to make it actionable?
I mean, the first thing I'll say, I think when we think about the AI agent part of this, and I'll say, like, for me, AI agent is an agent that is conversing with somebody outside your firewall, be it a patient, a member, a customer, a prospect. This is the Olympic level of this problem, right?
Yeah.
A co-pilot is producing an output for an employee that they can consume and digest and tweak if they need to, although maybe they're just clicking send some of the time, right? I think, so we have to be, the bar here is really high. And then I think when you take this into the voice channel, there's no 3 dots, there's no the agent is typing. So I think if you want to think about the level of quality and fidelity of information to be relayed and the speed at which it needs to be relayed, voice AI agents is the Olympics of this sport. So I think that is the most difficult thing to do. And I think where people have built an assist tool or maybe even an internal chatbot, trying to take that and actualize it into an external AI agent, it's a different beast.
Yeah, yeah. Daniel, with NICE, you guys spent almost $1 billion on Cognigy. A huge investment, obviously. Tack that on to the hundreds of millions you guys spend in R&D every year, right? It's a huge commitment on that part. All of that is not really practical for most enterprise customers to go duplicate on their own if they're going to try to build this on their own, right? Speak to that for a second. The complexity of what you guys have built and are building, the stuff you're going to be doing, in 6 and 12 and 18 months from now that we're not even contemplating yet. Just how big of a task is that for NICE?
Well, I'll tell you how big. It took maybe 30 to 35 years, right, of analyzing interaction data. So imagine coupling that within your organizations really trying to lift and shift and really trying to analyze data on your own specific to interactions. I mean, there is multiple, I think thousands of different intents that we've analyzed throughout the years. And with our acquisition of Cognigy, I really think that we're, in a position where we're just really expanding on that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing some very cool kind of industry-leading things, and there's a number of players in this space that are really have made massive improvements. Let's go back to the data thing for a second, because one of the things I've loved about Capacity for the last few years is this idea of orchestrating knowledge, if you will. Knowledge is never it's organic, right? It's not static. It doesn't just sit in one tidy knowledge base. It sits in a bunch of different places. Same thing goes for all these back-end systems that inform how I do what you guys do so well, right? It has to be able to work together. Talk about the integration side of the Capacity business. How critical has that been as you guys have developed the company?
Well, I think it's huge, right? I think so. What we've done is integrating that knowledge base into the multiple different platforms that customers have, right? We look at our enterprise customers that are out there that Fortune 200, Fortune 100 customers that have knowledge base that are pulling from six or seven different areas, whether it is Azure, whether it's SharePoint, whether it's Google, right? And trying to make sure that you are able to consolidate all that data and weed out a lot of that bad data that customers need. We've put a heavy investment in that because we look at that as a big piece to going back to the virtual agent side of the house, right? How do we integrate all of that knowledge data into a customer's single source where they have access to that data immediately? How do the agents have access to that data immediately, and how can they move quickly, right? Especially if you're looking at real-time agent assist, right? How do you take the data that we have there, index it very quickly, and then make sure that agent has the knowledge that they need to answer that question instantaneously. And I think that's been one of the biggest game changers for us. And as we talk to customers and living in the contact center space that I have for the last 20 years is how do we reduce average handle time, and how do we deflect the majority of those calls that don't need to be answered by a human being?
Yeah.
So,
and how do you do that successfully without sacrificing customer experience?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not easy, right? We've going back to the R&D, we've put so much time and investment into R&D, and whether it's via acquisitions, or just internal hiring of engineers and developers to ensure that we can do that properly, right? That's where we've made the biggest investment from capacity.
Yeah, yeah. Mandy?
Andrew, I have a quick point. So thinking about your teams, when you're building AI agents, you talked about like these solutions are failing when you're building them yourselves. Think about really peeling that back, the why you want to work with a team that provides the pro services like all four of us up here can say and help you. Because password reset, great example, really low-hanging fruit, really easy task. You're like, I wish that could be automated by AI. But think about if someone calls to reset their password. How many systems does your business have that need to be logged into? Maybe that's 17, for example, right? Now I have to build 17 APIs to make sure that AI agent can reset that password. So if your team is building that, do you have the capability to go build 17 APIs on the fly? Whereas if you're working with, tools like ours, we build those for you. So they're up and running quicker, the ROI is proven faster.
Yeah.
We can get the low-hanging fruit and then move into more complexity without you guys having to staff for that.
Yeah. I'm curious, a quick show of hands, who here has a CEO that has come to you as a IT leader and said, go get us some AI so we can save some money? Just give me some AI, right? Yeah. Like, how many would you like, sir? Right? There's a lot of emphasis on this right now, and a lot of CEOs that are waking up to this idea that, hey, okay, I'm hearing enough. AI is going to be really important. It's going to change everything. I get it. Let me go to my smart guys and say, hey, go figure it out, right? Go figure it out. I have this thesis that IT leaders, especially, need to become great storytellers. Great storytellers to kind of paint the picture for that CEO about what's possible, right? And what the outcome could be for the business. When I say that, and you think about the things that could be possible for a real estate firm, for a healthcare company, for a bank, a credit union, for a manufacturer, all these different verticals that we deal with every single day. Give me an example. I want to hear that from each of you. An example of what could be possible in the form of kind of a story that like we've always done it this way. This is why it's failed. Here's what's going to be possible or is possible today. Who's got one top of mind?
Yeah, I can go. I think I'll start saying on the IT folks. Go ahead. Go ahead. No.
Joking. Go. I'll go next.
I think that IT person too, they're going to have to really dig in and understand their business more deeply. So like an example I'll give, like we're dealing with financial organization, and one of the things they need to do is they need to call insurance companies and confirm that they're listed on a lien. And it was actually not really perceived as being a contact center task. It was this back office thing that other people were doing. It was like ancillary work. But why can't an AI agent call that insurance company, understand and navigate the IVR, wait on hold, and then get to a human? And then I think it is really agentic, because a lot of times in inbound, you know the script. Well, I don't know the script of Allstate versus State Farm versus whoever. So now that human who works for the insurance company, they're going to run their script, which is unknown to the AI agent. So I think in that scenario, that's something that I think 12 months ago, I don't think we were envisaging. So I think those types of things to me, and those are not your traditional contact center tasks. So I think also like the breadth of this, and I think it was mentioned earlier, like Danielle said, go beyond the contact center.
Yes.
Contact center, medical offices, back office. I think we need to be expanding our view and a deep understanding of the actual jobs to be done. It's really important.
Got it. I love it. Mandy?
Yeah, kind of same thing, like scalability, huge, right? Right now, all contact centers are understaffed, basically overworked. We just can't get through all the motions. So you look at scalable contact centers, you always want to hire more. You don't have the budget. The budget is now AI. So we're working with Medicare companies in particular, Medicare insurance, healthcare, where they're paying people to literally sit there and call out during the busiest times of the year to schedule appointments. But I actually can't sell you the policy or sign you up for the plan until you schedule the appointment. So I'm losing money every single day that my agents are not selling that policy. So we've got customers who will start with the inbound of any call that comes in, AI's handling that, right? So now I can have people doing the outbound. Well, why can't the AI do the outbound? Of course it can. Now it's making all of those scheduling calls. So the 100 agents, the 50 agents I'm paying for, the human beings, are only selling policies, so only driving revenue.
Yeah.
And that's the way we want to look at, again, that teammate versus a tool.
Yes.
Why can't they do
Yes.
those tasks where my human beings that I'm paying a premium for are actually making my business money?
Got it. That's very, very achievable today. Danielle, what's an idea for you?
I was just going to say that I think right now at NICE, we're really looking at the contact center not as a cost center anymore, right? We're looking at it more as a revenue generating machine. And so when you have IT leaders in conjunction with C-suites only care about a couple of different things, right? They care about what's the return of investment. Yes, they care about cutting costs, and maybe that was the old way, and they still do, but I think nowadays it's really just about where's that revenue coming from, and from a compliance perspective, what technology can I invest in that's going to help with risk, which I think is a really, really big point. So I think that coupled with IT leaders to really start telling the story around AI agents and how they're going to be working from a back office perspective to front office perspective, and really start to think about more of the sales aspect of that and how we're generating revenue from those interactions and from those conversations. I think that really is key with how IT leaders and C-suites can really think about contact center, but also going beyond the contact center in that aspect as well.
Good. Mike, closing with you.
Yeah, very similar. So kind of a hybrid mix of all three, where what we're doing is we have a big mortgage space initiative. We have a big beauty space initiative that what we're doing is we're taking the agents and we're outbounding, whether it's scheduling for beauty, whether it is trying to proactively go out and drive revenue for organizations around the mortgage business, right? How are we getting especially right now with the rates that are, as rates are starting to come down, right? Just that proactiveness, but there's a lot of unknown because, like you mentioned, right, you're calling out and they don't know what the response is going to be on the other end, because whether you're getting someone that is just a homeowner, whether you're getting, whatever that experience may be. So being able to adjust on the fly, where 12 months ago, like that didn't exist.
Yeah.
So
to be that agile,
exactly,
enabling that,
and it's getting better every single month. I mean, if you look at just at the beginning of this year as to where we're at today, I mean, it's amazing where we're going with this.
Yeah, and that's exciting for us, tech nerds in the room, right?
Yeah.
I know I get excited about it. That's a fantastic conversation. I'd leave just this one last thought as an IT leader. I talk about storytelling, right? I'm not sure there's ever been a more exciting time to lead IT in an enterprise than now. And here's the reason why. If you're an IT manager and have any ambition to become a director of IT, or a director and you have any ambition of being a VP, or a VP that wants to be a CIO, there is no better time for you to show your relevance right now within your company. Because every one of your leaders at the C-level are trying to figure this thing out. And they need somebody that they can trust and lean on to help them kind of show that path. And to your point around revenue creation, I think that's where you really get to pivot into being a totally different type of leader in technology in a business. Because for decades, our job as IT leaders has been what? Keep the lights on and cut cost, right? That's basically it. Keep the lights on and do it cheaper than you did it last year. And what's shifting now, powered by AI, is this idea of how do I reimagine what our company does? How can I, as an IT leader, leverage technology to open up brand new paths to revenue? To not just drive cost out of the business, but to increase profitability, increase sales, increase revenue. And when you can do that as an IT leader, your relevance goes right through the roof. Good? All right? Guys, great job. Fantastic conversation. Really appreciate it. Thank you.